is a secret. I know you like to keep it clean. No prying eyes to keep you honest. What do you hide when you hide with me? If you think you're clever, then you've never weathered anyone like me. I've been training all my life. Guess your numbers aren't right. Cause when she calls mine, I'm not gonna lie. Those pretty eyes, are you scared now? You can't erase all the things you've seen. Do you like my shells and all my monsters? Now you're my latest favorite thing. Do you wanna play misbehave? Say the ways you plan to hurt me, abuse and drain me dry. Now you wanna know if you'll make it out alive. Nah, I'm not gonna lie. Don't you want my affection? I thought you said you were mine. Won't you join my collection? La 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 la, you'll be fine. Oops.
Hey, Jay. Good to see you. Getting started momentarily. Whoa. Oh, man. All right, let's get this show on the road. Yeah, there's a whole lot of being behind going on. Trollord Games, thank you so much for the raid. 44 viewers. I caught the tail end of the stream. Good to see you. Good to see you, Valley Girl Heather. Actually, you know something? Because Lord Gazumba was here already in chat, let's get him a shout out. Let's get TLG a shout out. Welcome everyone. You have not missed a thing. I literally just went live a couple minutes ago. I was playing some music. So all good there. And yeah, welcome to tonight's stream. This is the TTRPG Theater. I am your host, Rob Phantom NJ, also known as Phantom NJ. And that's kind of an open thing. I was trying to figure out exactly what I want to talk about, which pretty much happens every single Thursday. You would think I'd plan these things out ahead of time. Sometimes I get inspiration from things in chat, but what exit? You know, I should ask you, what part of London? North London, South London. But yeah, I am kind of beyond the exits. I am north of the exits, unless you want to talk about just standard exits on on the non-toll highways. I am Devine. Tracy, good to see you. Oh, thank you so much for the gift subs. That was very kind of you. You're just okay. You're just over there overnight. Where in London are you, if you don't mind? Yeah, I am north of the exit 18 and 16, which strangely enough, the toll booth is in the exact same place, but technically 18 goes a bit further beyond the toll booth. So yeah, I am all the way north of there. I mean, technically also the Garden State Parkway goes all the way to the New York border, but I am pretty much quite a bit west on the other side of a large hill from there. So yeah, as I mentioned, I've been kind of like looking for things to talk about. And I realized that Monday was my Twitch affiliate anniversary, and it's actually kind of fitting that Lord Gazumba is here because he's partly to blame for this. Not the mess that the stream is, the fact that the stream exists in the first place. I didn't really get into Twitch at all until, oh my goodness, it had to be somewhere around the pandemic. And to be fair, my initial Twitch stuff was one of the streams I was running as part of D&D Beyond. It was a stream. Todd Kendrick was the dungeon master, and so that was my introduction to actual plays. I never really got into. I mean, I know it's on. Actually, I don't even know where it's streamed anymore. But I never really got into Critical Role. I've watched parts of seasons. They always end up losing me at some place, and unless I'm watching it with a group of people, I never just got into it. But I found the Greyhawk community. I found Lord Gazumba playing some old school 1E, 2E, 43-year campaign. Is it still 43 or we hit 44 years, Jay? I'm not even sure anymore. And with miniatures, actual miniatures on actual terrain, which is all kinds of cool. It's a hell of a lot of fun. But yeah, I started hanging out with all these groups, and I decided somewhere along the way, let me try my hand at the streaming thing. For favorite virtual tabletop, that's a good question. So let's go. Before I mention that, I did mention I know you guys all came over from the TLG stream. We do have a giveaway. It is a $10 gift coupon for the towards any digital product on their website. So exclamation point ticket to enter. Virtual tabletop. I'm going to give you two. I'm going to give you three. And the reason I'm going to give you three is they all fit a very different niche for me. The first one, and the one that I'm actually using right now, is Owlbear Rodeo. Owlbear Rodeo is if you literally want just something to throw a map on and something to put tokens on so that you can have something for your players, because I love theater of mind. Anyone who knows me knows that I love theater of mind play. Most of my early stream games, any of the stream games that I've run either on this channel or other channel early on, were theater of mind. Pat Draws, good to see you, sir. Fantasy Grounds is an interesting one for me, because Fantasy Grounds is one of those things where when the software, not the software itself, but when the gaming client, the gaming application for that particular TTRPG is good, it can be very good. And I have to admit, the CNC one that's currently there is really good. When it's bad, it's terrible. And it still reminds me of a late 90s Java application. The user interface for it still sends me into this whole bad callback, triggers or whatever from the early mid to late 90s and early aughts, mostly mid to late 90s. I've heard that the 2E rule set is good in Fantasy Grounds. I'm not going to lie, it is not enough to get me to use Fantasy Grounds as a GM. But I like Owlbear Rodeo for just the simplicity of it. Yes, it is owlbear.rodeo. And it's awesome that you can, if you're not worried about character sheets, all you want is something to put a map down, put tokens down. So those players that you have that don't do well with visualization and have a hard time keeping track of everything, and there are those players out there, it's It's a really great tool just for that. And, you know, it has other things built into it. Like it does have a, you know, if you want to use digital dice, it does have a digital dice function. It's, I mean, and it can be used for that. I am not, I'd rather roll regular dice but I mean, I give my players the option. If they want to use digital dice, that's fine. You know, I am a big fan of Foundry. The only problem with Foundry is I'm a big fan of using it. I've been a big fan of using it for a long time. I still have yet to teach myself how to run it. I have a bunch, and this is where I'm pretty much sure it's ADHD at this point. I have to sit myself down and go through the videos and work on the stuff and get used to using it. I've toyed with it. I've never actually run a game in it. So, you know, so there's that. But I liked Foundry early on because it was one of those games where back when I was playing 5e and, you know, yeah, it was one of the two systems that you could have an interaction between D&D Beyond and the client. The other one was Roll20, where you could kind of like mix and match, you know, have one automate stuff in the other. I don't know. I mean, Varsuk, I'd have to run Fantasy Grounds to do it. I couldn't answer that for you. Kingsley would know. He's or well, assuming he's run Fantasy Grounds, but I know he runs Foundry because he's currently working on the CNC client for Foundry, and I'm looking forward to that. That'll probably be the final push. Is when, I mean, the starter thing is already there. People have done a lot of work in adding stuff themselves, but I don't have that kind of time, and I don't have the time to go fix things that aren't working. So once they have that, you know, I will probably move to Foundry. I'm also not the biggest person on automation, so a lot of the automated stuff, I want people to be able to have their character sheets. I want to be able to, you know, have the monster stat blocks already in, you know, and have the spells and everything and equipment and such so that people can drag and drop stuff to the thing. I don't care all that much about the automation, you know, automatically targeting and you're targeting and keeping track of hit points that way. I'm happy to still do that manually. If it works, great, but that's the last thing, you know, that's the last thing on my mind. Because again, I don't want to force people to use digital dice. I've got too many freaking physical dice myself to make people use digital dice. It's that easy, you know. The other one that I've just started using, and I don't know that I think they finally went into production mode as opposed to it being in beta. And this one is Alchemy. Alchemy, especially if you're a Theater of Mind person, Alchemy's got some really, really cool tools to help run Theater of Mind games. It also has what they call a tactical mode, which you don't always see. The map, you're not always looking at a map. You move to tactical mode if you want to use a map. But it's got especially for like Free League games, we've been using it for Dragonbane, because Free League is a big supporter of Alchemy. They have, you know, you can pipe music into the thing for the mood. You can create different overlays for what people are looking at when they're looking at your particular game. There are some things about it, you know, I mean, even though it's technically gone into production where the Kickstarter stuff has started shipping out for it, and you can subscribe and, you know, get subscriptions for it. It's still there's a couple of things that they need to get, you know, a couple UI elements that they need to make adjustable as far as where it sits, being able to move it around or not look at it all together. But beyond that, it's one of those things where it's still early days. I'm really hopeful. Kingsley, thank you so much for dropping in. No worries, my man. You know, listen, I appreciate you. And I'm sorry I didn't get to handle that thing we talked about yesterday. Yesterday kind of got away from me. But yeah, so there's those three. Now I've used others. I've used Roll20, and Roll20 is fun. All I want it to work. I just want the system to work. And Roll20 does that. I mean, when the pandemic first hit, I had joined a Discord specifically for gamers to hook up with other gamers to run games, and you either playing one shots or campaigns or whatever the case may be. And it was like all through Roll20. Discord organizing games through Roll20. I think it was all Roll20 anyway. All the games that I played were Roll20, and it did the job. I mean, it was fine. I don't even remember what my complaints were with it. I don't know that I specifically had. I think I just liked the way other systems did it better. Really, honestly, that might just be it. And at that point, that was the point where I was really not a fan of Fantasy Grounds, because Fantasy Grounds for 5e I don't think that thing ever worked completely properly. Which was, and it also the client had nobody did any work on the user interface. I played in a 1e session in Fantasy Grounds, or it might have been a 2e session, like somebody had mentioned, and I was like, "Damn, this is gorgeous. This is the way Fantasy Grounds should look." All right, it's like, why can't everybody else get that understanding? User interface, you're not going to want to stare at something that is ugly as hell. So yeah, great question. And I appreciate the question, because like I said, it isn't Ask Me Anything. I don't know, honestly. I kind of been like trying to follow chat. I don't know if anyone asked me any other questions, but if you do, let's see. What else is there? So, Pat, again, you feel attacked. Did you ask me a question, Pat, and I missed it? I saw it first, and then but that was about it. All right. So, let's see. We're talking about the fact that the affiliate anniversary, and yeah, so I started running games on other streams. Started running games on this stream. I am happy to know people that have made Twitch partner. I mean, Lord Kazumba, after 3 years of applying to it, finally made it, and absolutely well deserved. Pulling in fantastic numbers, running old school games, and expanding way beyond that with the various Greyhawk shows. I'm a proud member of the Greyhawk Creatives group. Greyhawk was my first campaign setting, and it's something that the pull of it keeps me there. It helps that I know so many people in the community. Any recommendations for which one does whiteboard battle map? Oh goodness, somebody else may be in a better place. Yeah, I mean, Lord Kazumba's been partner for, it's got to be at least a year now at this point. I'm not even, I don't even remember when. I know it's been a hot minute. Yeah, Dad Sadness, somebody else would be in a far better position to answer that question than me, unfortunately. I do not have an answer for you on that one. So, I've seen others get caught up in the Twitch partner chase, and I knew almost immediately that it was not for me. I don't have that kind of energy. I don't have, I don't have a particular niche that I'm filling for it, and I don't want this, maybe in a few years when I get closer to, when I get closer to retirement than I am now, because as close as it seems, it's still ways off. Even early retirement still seems like it's ways off at this point. I don't have the kind of time and energy, and honestly, I don't really have the support I don't have the numbers at this point. And I don't know what I would need to do to get those kind of, and I'm honestly not interested in chasing it. It's a lot of work. I've seen, I've seen kind of work that Jay puts into his channel. Barsuk, thank you so much. Have a safe travel back. I hope you had a great, I don't know if you were there on vacation or business travel, but hope you had a great time. Hope you got to do something in London while you were there. I'm a big fan. I've got family there. But thank you for thank you for hanging out for a bit. So, like I said, Twitch partner is not for me. I don't have that kind of energy. And again, anyone who does and makes it, that's fantastic. I mean, I know I've seen firsthand what the chase for partner does to people. And I've seen more than a few streamers who went so hard looking for partner, didn't, realize at some point that they weren't going to make it, and they just burned out. There's quite a few streams that I used to follow or even used to be a part of that really honestly are, if they're still in existence, they're just barely breathing. So it's not for everyone. I appreciate the fact that Twitch affiliate was easy, for me anyway, to get, because again, knowing people who have such, the Greyhawk community is, whatever else you might think of the world of Greyhawk, the current community is very supportive of each other, the Greyhawk online community. And it's through people like Jay and others that, making an affiliate for me was really honestly quite simple. I didn't, all it took was a one or two raids from large groups, and I had the numbers in order to be able to make affiliate. Partners, obviously it's a much different story. And again, I don't have that kind of specific niche that I'm filling. I don't even know what kind of niche I would want to fill. It's not something I'm interested in. So cool. I mean, I've got affiliate. It's awesome. And I appreciate the fact that I've got sponsor like Troller Games and people rating into me and following and such, and I appreciate every single one of you. Ooh, all right. So actually, bringing up the Greyhawk community and things, let's talk about the fact that as far as conventions, I don't get to attend many conventions a year. I probably should try to do more virtual conventions. And attending conventions, there's a couple of things at play. I could financially do it, but with all the other stuff that I do on personal level, I don't have the kind of time off that I would need to go to more conventions. I would need to cut something out, and really honestly, the things that I'm doing otherwise, I don't want to cut out. Not at this point. So I'm kind of left with honestly doing one major convention and maybe a smaller one, something that's over a weekend. So technically the one, major convention I do is also kind of over a weekend, but things get started a little earlier than that. So it basically becomes about half a week, which is fine. But coming this weekend on, I believe it's on Saturday at noon Central Time, so the 1 Eastern, where I'm located, GaryCon tickets go on, GaryCon badges, I should say, go on sale. I have to make my differentiation between tickets and badges because they're two very different things. GaryCon badges go on sale. And I love GaryCon. I love GaryCon specifically because of, well, there's usually one, it's the right size for me. I'm not I've dealt with a couple of the larger conventions. I went to PAX Unplugged once, and I did not enjoy the experience. It was just too big and unorganized and noisy, and it was kind of a mess. It was a lot of walking around for not much payoff. I wasn't. I felt like I know I didn't do enough prep ahead of time, but even with the prep, I was looking what I could have done differently, and it still would have been a mess. It was also, granted, I mean, part of it might have also been the fact that we were coming just off of lockdown. It was not maybe 5 months after, or 4 months after lockdown ended, 5 months after lockdown ended. But even then, there were some pretty heavy restrictions in place in terms of making sure that people weren't just wandering around, which I appreciated at the time, but it still made things kind of confusing. So yeah, I was not a huge fan of PAX Unplugged. There's a number of reasons, but it's just, I realized it wasn't for me. GaryCon it's the right size, I think, for me. It's about anywhere around 2,500 to, like, I think the max that they can do is 3,500, somewhere around that area. People spread it's spread out a bit, but I know where I'm familiar with the layout now. It's easy to get to wherever I need to be, and it really, honestly, it's all about the people. I know so many people who go to GaryCon every year, or at least are trying to. This past year, this past March, there were 75 people or so that I knew at GaryCon. Granted, there was Founders and Legends and GaryCon that week, but between the two, yeah, there had to be 75. I didn't get 5 feet into the hotel, the Grand Geneva, before I ran into, I had 3 people calling my name. And then by the time I got to the front desk of the hotel from the door, I'd run into 8 people I knew already. And that was, that was the day before Founders and Legends technically started, which was a smaller, much smaller affair than GaryCon itself ended up being. But yeah, Gary, I mean, it's a fantastic 4 days. I think next year, I think I may try to stay the extra day, and leave on Monday and give myself that break. Just because running out on that Sunday, it's not. I don't mind it. I'd like to be able to hang out with some people who are still there, maybe for one more night, and see how, basically just spend some time. Get to spend some time with people who aren't also rushing out, leaving the next day. There's enough people out there so that I know I won't be like sitting in my hotel room saying, "What the hell did I do this for?" But yeah, those badges go on sale on Saturday, and it's hard to believe it's like 200. I think the clock countdown said 233 days to GaryCon. Oh man. So then after that, there's the submitting games. I will again be submitting 3 games, Castles and Crusades, for GaryCon. There will be one that Thursday, that Friday, that Saturday. Sunday, I do not submit games, and whether or not I actually sign up to play in a Sunday game is going to be wholly dependent on whether or not I decide to fly out on Monday. I had signed up for a friend's game on Sunday this year, and I realized that by Friday night, I was like, yeah, no, that's not going to work. I was going to need to rush out. The logistics of checking out of the hotel and, getting the car back to the airport and all that, was just going to make that completely infeasible. So, so that ended up not happening, but that was also after like being there for over a full week with Founders and Legends. So I was exhausted too. That didn't help either. But yeah, GaryCon badges Saturday. That's the first step. And, last year they sold out of silver badges. It took a few weeks, but silver badges ended up selling out too, and people were suddenly stuck. And there was a long line of people who thought they were going to be able to just wait to buy badges, and it didn't. You kind of had to like camp the GaryCon Discord. GaryCon was in March, so that depends on your definition of just. But yeah, you got Gen Con coming up next week, and Gen Con, I will never go to Gen Con. I thought it might be one of those, bucket list type cons for me. I've been talking to a number of people who go to Gen Con, and the more I listen, the more I realize I don't want to deal with that. It's too big. There's too much. And also, honestly, it sounds like a money sink. Like when I heard that you're not only paying for your badge, but you're paying for tickets to play in games. What? Come on now. I mean, just no. And it's not like and it wasn't like the DMs were getting, the game masters were getting, the benefit of those tickets for the individual sessions being sold either. Like, come on now. I mean, that's just to me, that's kind of gross. I'm not in favor of that. It's like they're profiting off the volunteers that they get, and it just, no. Don't do that. I like GaryCon. I mean, yeah, is the badge expensive? Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on what your definition of expensive is. But it's a little bit of money. But at least you know that once you've got your badge, the things that you want to do, you just have to make sure that you are online when your group is available to grab tickets for different events. Are you going to be able to do everything you want to do? No. But one of the wonderful things about GaryCon, and some of the best games that I've dealt with in GaryCon, have been the sessions that have been run in the hallways outside of the gaming area. There are people who are just doing stuff. There are some open games there's an open D&D game AD&D game that pretty much runs the entire weekend. Jump in whenever the hell you want to. And it just goes, there's a specific name for the game, and I think it's the Order of something. I don't remember if the Order of the Phoenix or what it was called, but it's running like the entire weekend. You can just jump in whenever you want to. I've run games in the hallways. I played in a bunch of games in the hallways, and and people are usually good. I mean, if you wander by and you look long enough, you're probably gonna get asked if you're watching. You may get asked if you're interested in playing. You may not. I don't know. Depends on the people, but it's a really, really cool thing. I liked that everything, most of the stuff takes place at the Grand Geneva itself. So it's pretty compact. It's a good old time. Even whatever else. I mean, and there's a wider variety of games being played there than you might think for GaryCon. You would think most of it's old school, and it's a great con. If you like old school games, it's a fantastic con. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. But there are other things being played. There is 5e being played. There is Pathfinder 1e and 2e being played. Yep. Hey, Chuck. Good to see you, sir. So that, GaryCon badges on Saturday. I know I've said that a few times, but I just want to bring that home because, again, you don't want to miss out. I hate to see people miss out on stuff because they didn't know or they didn't realize. Don't wait. If you're able to get your badge on Saturday, get your badge on Saturday. Don't push it off and potentially be in a spot where suddenly they've sold out of badges. The capacity is what it is. They're not going to exceed it. The Grand Geneva just won't hold much more without them, without risking violating fire codes, because it is still an active resort. So not necessarily everyone who's at the Grand Geneva is not necessarily there for the con. So there's also that. In other con news, badges are currently available for virtual Greyhawk Con. And I mentioned the fact that I really need to, start doing more virtual cons. But Virtual Greyhawk Con 5 is coming up in October. And I don't remember, actually, is the link working? Let me make sure that I didn't mess this up. Maybe I haven't altered it yet, but let's do this. Virtual Greyhawk Con runs it's the first weekend of October. I long ago, when we were doing the first one, I started calling it Hawktober. Because puns are always good. It's a fantastic weekend of virtual gaming. I don't remember how many sessions there were run last year, but there was a lot of different games being run. And really, honestly, if for the tie-in, the only thing that is asked in terms of running games for the con is that they take place in the world of Greyhawk. Could be any era of the world of Greyhawk. It could be a modern day world of Greyhawk. I think there was somebody who ran a noir game set in modern day world of Greyhawk. So whatever you want to do. There are BX games being run. There are, first edition, second edition, third edition. There might be running somebody fourth edition. I'm not sure. Utter 31 months. Wow. Thank you so much. And thank you for the follow, Pencil Mage. That is awesome. Thank you so much for the subscription, Keith. I really appreciate it. But yeah, Virtual Greyhawk Con badges are now available. Badges for Virtual Greyhawk Con are $5 plus. I think there's like a $1.23 or something like that service charge from Tabletop Events. We have, there's nothing that can be done about that. The $5 nominal charge is, it doesn't really, honestly, outside of free, it doesn't get much cheaper than that. There's so many games run, and it runs, technically the con is from Friday until Sunday evening. Jay Lord Gazumba, who is the organizer of the con, with a fair amount of help these days. There's a number of people who help as far as like manning support for Discord and for helping people find where they need to be, and badge related issues. So there's a lot of work that's done. But if you like playing in the world of Greyhawk, or you just want to play some D&D or some other game, I'm sure some Shadow Dark is going to get played. I can almost guarantee that. I'll be running a whole bunch of CNC events. This year, there's only one game that I want to get into this year. I am keeping that quiet as far as what game that is. Otherwise, I will be running games pretty much all weekend long. Normally, it used to be that I ran like 3 or 4 sessions. I've got one group that's going to be going for about 6 hours, but I still plan on running like at least 5 or 6 sessions, including that 1 6-hour stream. But yeah, that'll all be CNC. That'll all be actually tied to my campaign. But yeah, if you want, get your Virtual Greyhawk Con tickets. It's in October. It is purely virtual, and there is no further. Once you've paid for your badge, everybody's on the same level when it comes to signing up for games when the tickets are released. So it really does become first come, first serve. And roll some dice, have some fun with this all. It's a great way to get to play with some new people, get to experience some new game masters, and playing some really interesting games. And I highly recommend it. I can't believe that we're on 5. It just boggles my mind. I still remember the helping out, trying to get the first one up and running, asking questions and such. The fact that this is number 5 just blows me away. But yeah, here we are. Oh man. Jay, do we know when in February that's going to be? Is it going back to like the 3rd week, or am I going to be doing virtual stuff with St. Jude again? Or basically the week ahead again? Okay, all right, that's fine. So virtual Greyhawk Con coming up, and then in January, we've got Page, the second Page. I just realized what that sounded like. Page 2. But Page standing for Philadelphia Area Gaming Expo. The first one was last year. Basically this past January. I did not get to attend. It was kind of like a tight thing with it being right after the holidays. This one's slightly later in January. I think it's like the 3rd weekend in January, something like that, or 3rd or 4th weekend in January. That's going to be fun. That's going to be fun. I thought about it. I will not be running any games at Page. I want to go and this one, I want to go play in the games. I want to be able to get a feel for the convention itself. Even the ever mysterious Tim is DMing there. That ought to be interesting. I might have to see about trying to sign up for Tim's game. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I want to go down there. I want to have some fun. There'll be a lot of people. I think there's gonna be a lot of people that I know down at the expo, and we'll see where I can get a feel for it, and as far as like potentially running things next year, or not next year, because next year technically when this is happening, but for Page 3. So yeah, I know there are other conventions. I know Gen Con is starting next week, and I've already given my thoughts on Gen Con. It's just not for me. I don't want to deal with that. What else we got going on? I mentioned world building. I honestly, at this point, we're at 10 after 7 already. I don't think we're going to get to that. Let me kind of show you, and I'll go to it for a second, but I've kind of come to the realization that I've been doing this Embers of Empire campaign for a while now, and we're starting to get somewhere. And I've gotten notes on like various things, and I've kind of been putting together things as I go along in terms of like locations. I was like, I probably should get around, and maybe something. Maybe next week we will set it up ahead of time and have a proper stream just purely for world building. So, for those of you who are hanging out and would be interested in helping out with that, what I'm looking to do really is there are some locations. Now, the Embers of Empire campaign takes place in the world of Greyhawk in the Kingdom of Nyrond. For those of you who are familiar with the campaign setting and realize that the Greyhawk Wars were a thing, this takes place about 40 years afterwards. It's about 40 years after the Greyhawk Wars ended. So, a lot of the well-known figures in the world of Greyhawk are probably no longer living, at least not in their original bodies if they are still living. I wanted to kind of get away from that just because when you play in that kind of setting, it's too easy to fall back on using them. And I kind of had one stream where one of a major person briefly made an appearance in very, very, very much in their old age. I wasn't even one of the most well-known figures. It was kind of one of the second string. But yeah, it becomes a little too easy to fall back on that and finding ways to fit them in. It's like, yeah, I don't really want to do that. That's not where I want to go with this campaign. I also wanted to get past a lot of the published stuff so that I can fiddle with who's who and not have to worry about holding tight to what's in the published sources as far as who's in charge. In any given situation, it's easy enough to switch it out. When you're the last published source, the last published info, probably is from like right after Living Greyhawk, or somewhere in the Living Greyhawk era, where I think it was Common Year 598. We're in 624, so we're a full quarter century past all that. A lot can happen in 25 years. I can change whatever I need to change and not have to worry about it. So I want to start filling out some locations, and I need to look at the possibility of making some edits to the map so I can start marking down locations, because one of the things about the area that I've chosen, Expeditions to the Ruins of Greyhawk, is that the latest in terms of published calendar setting? I have that. I do have that one sitting around here somewhere. All right, I'll take a peek at that. But yeah, I need to look at the possibility of adding stuff to the map, because one of the interesting things, and I can exit off of this page, about the Kingdom of Nyron is it's a wide. I mean, there's wide open spaces, and even if you have the hex map at 12 miles, there can be a hell of a lot of stuff in 12 miles. All right, Jay, I will see you in a bit. Thanks for hanging out. Thank you for being the first person here this evening, and for the lurk. We'll do this one more time because we will be raiding into Lurk Gazumba in just a little while. So yeah, you have this giant map and there's so much open space. It's like, and there's stuff, there's stuff in the spaces. So, really, honestly, the only thing that get marked on the map that we have, and I'm talking about Anna B. Meyer's fantastic Greyhawk map. It is something beautiful to behold. But it has more stuff on it than the original Darlene maps have, but it's still, there's wide, joking about the song, wide open spaces where that there is stuff there, because the kingdom is split up into various baronies, or is it barony? I'm not even sure, but there's different land, there's different sections to it. Somebody's in charge, that their family is there, there are farms, there's got to be small settlements. It's not like you're going 200 miles just to find the next village. That's not how this works. So I kind of have them on the southern tip of the map where the party is more or less working out of a major city. which in and of itself is not well defined. We don't have a map. I don't think there's an actual map published for it yet. So, figuring out locations in the city, figuring out some of the closer areas in the countryside so that I'm not sending them to far off reaches just for the sake of an adventure. So let's, I think next Thursday, we're going to concentrate on doing some world building with that because it's time. It really is time. I may, try to flush out a couple of towns. Might, I don't know. We'll figure out which way to go with this. I might actually put some polls. If you're not in my Discord, I have seen the Discord thing is right there. Feel free to, join the Discord. It is not a high volume Discord. Probably the most high volume channel is our Friday Night Crusades, which I should mention because it is very, very cool. We have a Castles and Crusades game that happens every Friday night in Discord. It is from 8 p.m. Eastern to 11 p.m. Eastern. It does take place in the world of Greyhawk. And it is Castles and Crusades. It is the easiest game in terms of playing online with strangers that you can possibly have. There are absolutely zero attendance requirements. Whatever days, whatever Fridays you're able to make it, great. Don't worry about it if you can't. Whatever time you're able to get there, fantastic. Whatever time you have to leave, fantastic. We're not worried about it. All that gets hand waved. We don't think too hard on it. There might be a running joke of that you've been hanging out in the next room, or reinforcements suddenly show up, whatever the case may be. The castle keeper kind of will just decide however he wants to, however they want to bring it up. We have initially this was a game that I started, and after a few years I handed over the reins, and it is still going strong. You're more than welcome to listen in if you want to do that as well. We just ask that if you're not playing, that you mute yourself while you're in the channel. And it's a lot of fun. I'm Warp 3K. Thank you so much for the follow. Really, really appreciate it. I think that brings me over the 350 follower mark. Actually, I'm pretty sure that between the various files I have, so that's another mini milestone. Yeah, 351. Awesome. Woo. And I know that's in large part because of the fact that I'm lucky enough to be part of the Greyhawk Creatives group. This is the link for the Greyhawk Creatives. I highly, I can't say enough good things about the people that are involved. If you've got the time and the will, check them out, check out the things that they're doing. So many talented people. Some of them are, running games. Some of them are playing in games, whether on their stream or on others. There's more than a few artists in there, in terms of, either freelance, just doing regular artwork or miniatures painting. All kinds of cool stuff going on. A couple of podcasts, all kinds of good stuff. So, if you've got the, chance, please consider, throwing them some support too. I really appreciate y'all being here. So yeah, we got Friday Night Crusades on Friday night, as one would expect, in the Discord. I think we're all somewhere between level 4 and 5. We're all right around that area. There are easy rules in there for character creation, and honestly, because of the nature of the game, jump in and play the class. As long as it's CNC, the class combo that you want, and we go from there. All right. So I think think Jay may have gone live. Let me see if he's still like in his entry screen or I'm seeing a video, and I get the feeling this is a video of Bill the Master Crafter doing his stuff. Oh, you can play a gnome assassin. You're just going to be very, very frustrated. The CNC assassin class is special. You get everything at first level, and then that's it. Oh, Jeff said, well, yeah, I mean, and that's fine. I don't think they really work in that kind of, in a horror style game. It's really hard to play assassin in true form. Not only that, the main thing for them is, the assassin skill, and it is very, very hard. I mean, I watched you try to do that in our when I was running the game. Sundance Kid 007, thank you so much for the follow. But the fact that you got to sit there and stalk and wait, and then basically you kind of have to hope that nobody kills your target before you do. I honestly, it may be a couple, it could be the possibility of you live longer by stalking. That's true. I mean, it could be that it's just a matter of not wanting to have an evil type character in thing, or it may just be the fact that it just doesn't fit the gaming style. All right, so let's see. We have, how many people do we have signed up for the giveaway? Right now we've got really good odds. If anyone wants to join the giveaway, it is for a $10. It's it is ticket. I was about to correct that, and you had it right. Thanks, Pat. So we've got really good odds. I'm going to give it to 724. It's now 722. Sweet. An exclamation point ticket to enter. $10 digital product. What do you call it? Coupon for Troller Games website. Kit Kat. I would like a Kit Kat right now. That Kit Kat would really hit the spot. Yeah. So let's start getting the raid set up. Give Me a Break was part of the Kit Kat song jingle, wasn't it? Break me off a piece of that Kit Kat bar. I had to work it through for a second. But we just aged ourselves there. You know that, don't you? I mean, of course I didn't have to admit that I knew what you were talking about. But yeah, that aged just a little bit. All right, so I'm going to go to stream ending, and then we're going to do the drawing, and then we're going to do the raid. So please hang out for the raid. It's always nice being able to, paying it forward to other streamers, especially those who've been very, very supportive. Time to close out the giveaway. And draw a winner. Warp 3K. Awesome. Congratulations. Warp, are you on Discord? If you want to hit me up on Discord, I can, otherwise I can send you. All right. Do me a favor. I am Phantom NJ on Discord as well. So if you want to just send me a message, I can give you the, we call it the code. Congratulations. And thank you everyone for hanging out. Thank you Troller Games for the, for the raid. Thank you for the various follows. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you, Tracy, for I'm the Bean for the generous 5 gift subs, and Keith Roger for the 31 months. Wow, I can't believe that I've been streaming long enough to have somebody subscribing for 31 months. That boggles my mind. So we will be raiding Lord Kazumba and get ready for some old school D&D. It is a lot of fun to watch. And we're raiding in 3, 2, 1. See you on the flip side.